All right, welcome back, everyone. Last take here. I'm taking this one. I keep adding to the ships to the data set and stuff, but let's get into the. So this is going to be largely just numbers to really justify the fact that the Valkyrie could still use some more love. And I think now's the time with them working on the Paladin. They've kind of got the Valkyrie, at least that they're kind of looking at that. I like the Star Jump usually says they've got the file open, right? They're using assets from it. They're looking at it. Now's the time. If we want more buffs to the Valkyrie, I think now's the time to speak up to that. And I think just showing the raw numbers is really important to actually justify that need. Now, Zevor did a video where he's going to talk a little bit more detail about just kind of the uses of the ship. So I encourage you to go take a look at that. It includes some of these ships from this data set as well. I included the Starlancer TAC here, for example. However, Starlancer TAC, I used the data from Urkel. He used, I think, the Star Jump stuff. So again, go take a look at that for a deeper dive into just looking at the Valkyrie and looking at some of the different comparisons there. This is going to be straight at the numbers, so I know this is a bit boring for folks, but I think it's relevant to, again, justify the need to further look at the Valkyrie as they are looking at the Paladin to tweak these numbers before we go too far. I think it'll just be a missed opportunity if we don't try to hammer this home now. So looking at the laser repeaters here is what I chose for DPS. Now, this is just the pilot control DPS. There is crew DPS in here as well. Before we do that, what's on the data set? I chose everything that was a size 4 ship, but I did include a couple ships that are bigger. So the Starlancer Max is actually a large ship as well, but it's the next category up. It's up there with the Carrack and things of that nature. So it's not a capital ship, but it is a big ship. It's a big boy. So it's a larger size category. Well, I brought it into this data set anyways, given the Starlancer TAC is very similar in its role. I didn't include the M2. That would be a good comparison as well, but it's just such big ships that I decided just to include the TAC because it's new, it's a similar price point, whereas the M2 is fairly more expensive even so. Additionally, I did include the steel. I didn't have that in here until this reshoot, but I wanted to go ahead and include it because it's similar in some ways. Obviously, it's a smaller size, so but yeah, I just wanted to kind of take a look at that as well. Looking here again at laser DPS, so what I chose is laser repeaters across the board. This is just pilot control DPS, but you can see here there is crew DPS as well. So when you look at the Redeemer, we talk, you're like, oh, that's really terrible. Well, it just kind of makes up for a bit with crew DPS. However, it's really just inverted when you look at stuff like the Taurus and stuff. So it's not like it's out of the park. It just happens to be inverted when you're looking at some of the others that have pilot control DPS. So would like to see some of these bottom ships get access to their turrets like they have now with the Valkyrie, the Carrack, the Reclaimer, and the Hercules series. All except for the C2, it doesn't have the chin turret. But yeah, would like to see these ships, especially like the MSR, get access to the top turret, for example. Would like to see people get access to these turrets, pilots, so that they can bring these up and a little more in line with its counterparts here. I would also like to see the Valkyrie get its 2 size 3s under the chin replaced with 2 size 4s, so it's really competitive with the Starlancer Max and TAC. I think bringing those up to 4 size 4s would be much nicer and would bring it more in line with this category. Although the buff it got now is definitely good, you're just going to feel the hurt when you want to take the ship out to do any fighting with it because you're going to find that the health and the HP, shield health and the HP are just not there. So let's get into that number next. You can see a lot of the numbers here, but I'm going to go through kind of the summary here. Basically, the TAC is the only ship with 2 size 3s, but most of these do have a size 3. Now, which shield I actually chose, like for example, the Taurus here, it has 48k naturally. I chose a bit of a better shield, not to really stand out even more. It's just the fact that you can do that with the size 3 and not require so many power bricks that you can still handle it. Whereas with the Redeemer, Retaliator, and the Valkyrie, if you want to have more shields and better shields, you have to commit to 3 power bricks in order to actually get to keep them on. So with, there's some shields that just have 1 brick to have it on. Whether you have the max amount in shields or 1 power brick in order to turn it on, you're still going to get the maximum amount of shields. It just restores slower if you have less power to it. So when you look at these ships here, they have so many ships that they need that when it comes time to actually add more power, you're just going to need too many bricks. So the Redeemer Retaliator, for example, if you had 3 bricks in order to give it max power, or to even keep it on, then you would need 18 bricks of power. That's just too much power in order to actually take care of these shields. The Valkyrie is not as bad. You would need 12 bricks for these size 2 ships, or size 2 shields. But all in all, again, I just like to see these at size threes would make probably more sense, and it kind of gets away from the idea, or they need to rebalance the bricks numbers that are needed. Maybe make it two at most, because when you start to have these ships that have so many power, so many different shields, it just needs too many bricks in order to actually optimize them or even have them on if they're better shields. So that's why I just kept this the same. It's the military size C. With all the militaries, by the way, you can add single bricks, I think, to it. So you could potentially have the with the FJs or I don't the FR. I think the FR series in here. But if you did that, you'd have to go get them because you don't just buy those outright. So yeah, maybe these need to just come with the FR shields by default to give it more shielding. And then again, the Valkyrie here at least needs 6 size 2s, but would like to see all of these ships just get size 3. The Cutlass Steel, maybe it could use more shields, but this part is outside the scope. It's just showing that it's just not that great either way. Now but it's a smaller ship. It's not meant to be, and it's a lower cost ship. It's not meant to be super competitive here. I just wanted to kind of show it because it is a drop ship. Down here on the HP, but you can see it holds its own in the DPS. So again, this just cries to the fact that the Valkyrie is just not quite getting its value when it comes to DPS and shielding. It's being outclassed by ships that cost less, or I don't know. It just is being outclassed here, where I think it needs a bit more. We'll get into the movement. So some will say, hey, it has a lot of armor, which is not currently implemented in the game. I don't mind these numbers being retouched now. I'd like to see them retouched now and then retouched again after armor comes in. But you'll see in armor, it's not like it's super outclassing there either. In movement, it's not super outclassing there either. So I just want to prove that these two need to be buffed. Down here, it's also the bottom of the barrel. Obviously, the MSR needs to come up as well, so I'd like to see it get a bit of a buff. It does do much better in movement. We'll take a look at that. So does the 400i, but the 400i's got plenty of shielding here. So I'd like to see it come up closer to the 400i in the way of HP. And you can see the Cutlass Steel is down here. So I just wanted to kind of see this and visualize it. I just didn't know when I was speaking out of turn when I said the Cutlass Steel may be doing a bit better. I know it got a buff increase, but it even moves a bit better. So let's take a look at movement. Where you can see the Cutlass Steel is coming up closer on top here. But so does the 400i, and the 400i still has great shield or HP. So I'd like to, and shielding, and to be honest, so I'd like to see it be more competitive with the 400i here. If not, at least the Redeemer is much faster in most regards. I don't have the roll here. I probably should have brought the roll on as well, but the roll is in the data down here. If you want to take a look at it, it is a decent number compared to the competitors here, but not in such a significant way that it justifies the fact that the HP is and the shield health is as low as it is right now. So I'd like to see those increased based off the fact that again the movement's not there. The armor is not even like if you see the Cutlass Steel and the Corsair have great armor. So like I don't know, I just don't see it here in the numbers that basically it's nerfed in HP for really no reason. I think having it increased would be great. Both in shielding and in the, at least bring it with the 6 size 2s like its Gunship Brothers have, or ideally get it a size 3 just so it could be a more competitive daily driver. And then also again, I'd like to see its HP go up a bit as well. Maybe similar to the 400i, so it could be middle of the pack here. Yeah, if not, at least maybe around the Redeemer. So 70k would be cool. Split the difference between these two, but 400i level with the 80k would be really nice. Anyways, that's about it. Sorry, death by numbers, but I just wanted to super justify the fact that, and appreciate those. Feel free to give your comments down below if you disagree with this. Would love to hear your arguments against it. I just would like to see the Valkyrie get its proper love. And again, because the Paladin is being worked on, now is the time to do that. Given their close relatives, and they're going to work out the final numbers on the Paladin as well, at least for initial release. Final numbers is not a good way to put that because we know it's going to come out like the Redeemer. It'll be on top of the, it'll be really stacked initially and then it'll get nerfed. So anyways, as it is, Valkyrie is nerfed by the progression of other ships. It's kind of like the Hornet Mark 1 and Mark 2 conversation where the Mark 1 is largely, for the Hornets, is just outclassed by the newer, higher DPS that newer ships have. So the Valkyrie has been left in the dust in that regard, and it needs more HP. Thankfully, it got a little bit more DPS to kind of help outclass that, but the HP and the shielding is lacking. Anyways, thank you all for checking out the video. I appreciate those time to take a like to subscribe. And again, sorry to bore you to death with the numbers, but I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.